Yo, hello. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about business and what I think of it from my experience over 44 years of experience in the world of business, marketing, sales, running a business, running a small business, running medium-sized businesses, running marketing for large-sized businesses, etc. Doing all that kind of stuff, running companies of a few hundred people or more. And what I can tell you, essentially, is that your business is going to fail, especially if you have a new business. Your business is going to fail. I'm sorry to tell you. I hope I'm not the first to tell you, but if I am, well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the fact is your business is going to fail unless you do this, right? If you happen to be building or have built a product or service that can survive the current insane economics revolution that we are going through, and that can grow to scale across all channels or your target channels, and unless you can build the relationships necessary to establish your firm and to secure the funding necessary and to make sure that you have the right team in place, the statistics are, if you know anything about venture capital and investments and money, the statistics are not good. They're not in your favor, right? I'm not saying that to be pessimistic or to upset you about what you're doing, right? And when you wake up in the morning and wondering, is this worth my time? The fact is it's not. For most people, your new venture idea is not going to succeed. Does that mean you shouldn't do it? In my opinion, no, it doesn't mean that at all. Because if you're innovative and you're smart and you do the right things and you make the right connections and you're fortunate enough to find the right capital, you can certainly succeed in business. And you can even succeed after failures, right? There are a number of very successful entrepreneurs who have failed numerous times, only to find success after the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 10th time, 20th time. Sometimes it takes many failures for people to get to the right winning combination of the right idea, the right team, the right product, the right service, the right capital, you name it, all the right pieces of the puzzle, and then eventually they succeed. But success isn't limited just to financial statements. Success isn't limited just to how much money did the company make. Success isn't limited to just how many people did you employ. Right? Success isn't just limited to how many people were customers of yours or clients or investors. Success is based on a lot of factors, and there are a lot of benchmarks and goals and milestones that you can use to measure success. So you could develop a software application that is incredible and nobody might ever use it. So from a sales point of view or a user point of view, it might be a complete failure. But from a development point of view and from an innovation point of view and an R&D point of view, it might be out of this world, right? For example, there are plenty of machine learning systems that were absolutely phenomenal 20 years ago, 30 years ago, which never succeeded financially, but innovatively they did. They invented things that people later used to build the current machine learning systems and the current AI LLMs, which are basically machine learning on steroids, right? And the current even deep learning, right? Where did deep learning come from? It came from understanding neural networks. It came from understanding, AI at a deeper level and a lower level, if you will, into the network. Meaning more at the root of the network, that can give people better insights, even in real time, to avoid things like viruses or malware or hack attacks or crack attacks, all kinds of things, cybersecurity threats. Right? Deep learning can be used for those things and is being used for those things since already many years, since a decade or more. In fact, more than a decade. But that doesn't mean that just because those companies then made those inventions and gave them, and eventually they were used by other people, that doesn't mean that the entrepreneurs who made those innovations are successful when they look at their finances or anything, but it might mean that they're successful when it comes to what contributions did they make to the ecosystem that they're working in, what contributions did they make to the industry, what contributions did they make to humanity. So there are a lot of ways to measure success. Tesla invented things 100 years ago and more that we're just now starting to really develop. Wireless charging of phones. Where do you think that comes from? Tesla basically made that possible by showing that you could do wireless transmission of electrical signals. It's now more than a century, and it's still not the most commonplace thing, right? But wireless telecommunications is. Where do you think that comes from? Those come from inventions related to what Tesla discovered, right? He discovered many things, but that's just, for example, one thing. The discovery of just so many scientific and medical discoveries that led to discoveries of vaccines, or that led to discoveries in toxicology, or that led to discoveries in cardiology, or like heart stents, little springs that you make for the heart. Okay, yes, that was a medical invention that was intended to help the cardiology industry, and it did immediately. But it also ended up doing other things, right? Using heart stents is not only something that ended up being used for that procedure, right? Saving people's lives using the basically little springs, right, that you insert into their body to keep their valves pumping properly, their heart valves pumping properly. But that same technology has been used again and again in other industries to do other things. Now, of course, springs have existed for longer than heart stents, right? But the concept of using springs to do certain things that heart stents could do has also enabled similar products to be invented in completely unrelated fields that have actually been either life-saving or critical to the infrastructure of those industries, and have been generally good for humanity. Now, does that mean that every invention should be driven by capitalism or not be driven by capitalism? No. Every invention that's good, whether it's invented for capitalist reasons or not, as long as it's good, yay, wonderful. Velcro was invented for spacesuits. Velcro was invented by a Frenchman, right? Monsieur Velcro, so named after him. And it's basically a hook and fiber technology that allows one side to be fibrous, little hairs, and the other side to be little hooks that grab into those hairs, and they're easy to open and close if you're pulling from a certain angle, and practically impossible to open and close, or not impossible, but require a great deal of force if you're trying to pull directly on them, as opposed to opening from the side or something, right? And that was done intentionally so that spacesuits could be easy to open and close from the right angles, but would stay fixed shut. The pockets of spacesuits, etc., would stay fixed shut, and with a very strong grip, and be able to do things like attach things to spacesuits, attach tools or whatever to spacesuits very easily without them falling off, and yet be able to take them off very easily. For astronauts who needed to use those kind of things on their spacesuits. You name it, right? The discovery of things in the stars, when we look at the stars above us, when we look at how distant certain stars and galaxies and quasars are, you might think to yourself, who needs to know that? Who needs to know what a Planck is? Who needs to know anything? The Hubble, what Hubble discovered? Why do we need to know any of that? Why do we need to know anything about physics? Why does it matter that Newton discovered physics? Well, it matters, it turns out, not because it was necessarily useful in the days that it was discovered to the degree that it is today, but think of all the things that have been discovered thanks to the fact that Newton discovered the science of physics and wrote it down in a way that it could be explained to other scientists who could learn from it and develop it further. So not everything is necessarily driven entirely by profit, and yet there could be great discoveries. And not everything that's driven by profit is necessarily a bad thing. And there can be many inventions that come along and succeed and fail. as that succeed or fail, and they can fail financially but still be tremendous successes later, right? Um, that is the nature of the system of innovation and entrepreneurialism that we live in the world. People have great ideas. Sometimes it comes to them in an epiphany, just boom in a flash. Sometimes it takes years or decades of grinding away thinking about a solution to an existing problem. Many times entrepreneurs are looking to find problems that need solutions, and they struggle to find problems that need solutions, even though there are very clearly lists of these things that you can look up. And sometimes they just, yeah, I'm not qualified to do this, and I don't have the time to do that, and I don't want to learn to do this. I'm not interested in opening a, convenience store in this location, even though it would be extremely profitable. I just don't have the time or the runway or the capital, or I'm not going to do that. I don't want to be an online documents processor because it's just too hard to, bring all the clients on at the time. I don't have that kind of runway, or I don't want to be a, online notary because it's just, not enough business and this and that. So there's a lot of excuses people use to not fill gaps in the market. But if you look for gaps in the market that exist, you'll find that they do exist. You can use ChatGPT to ask what gaps are there in the market that I can fill, and you can tell it your qualifications, and you can tell it your situation, your runway, your available capital, or whatever you might have, and literally it will spit at you a list of available ideas of gaps in markets, and you can specify the markets, and in many cases it will be able to tell you which markets need which services or products. And you could do that in Gemini. You could do that in, Microsoft's AI tool. You could do that in all the different big AI LLMs. You could also do that in other tools. Use Claude. You can use, what's that other one that starts with a P? Anyway, there's a number of them on Perspective, something like. Anyway, there's a lot of really cool AI LLMs that have been developed recently that'll help you figure out what gaps exist in markets, and you can use those same AI tools to build tools to fill those gaps, right? There's no shortage of companies that are using AI solutions to fill gaps in the market. There's in fact even this young dude, I forget his name, he's like in his early 20s, maybe 23, something like that, 25, who recently built a video, an application about how to become more attractive or something like that. And he created that for the purpose of building a business using an AI tool. And the application that he built, he's not a coder, he has no programming experience. He literally got out of college and decided to use ChatGPT or something to build an application. And he used, hello, hi, how you doing? And he used this application. What? And he used this application to AI tool that he then pivoted from the original name, but the idea came to him that, people like to look good. People are especially young men, are interested in being attractive. So he figured out an application he could build using a ChatGPT type system. And I think he used ChatGPT actually. I think you can see his interview from like the last week. There's a video on YouTube by a group called Superhuman AI. If you look up Superhuman AI, I think it's like this dude built a $6 million app business or something like that. And he basically explains how he built an application for young men to become more physically appealing or attractive or whatever, using, some kind of scientific method of, how you groom yourself, how you dress, how you take care of yourself, how you exercise, how your nutrition, how you approach people, how you speak to people, all this kind of stuff. And basically telling young men how to be more attractive and approachable and more interesting to women. And that was his novel idea, which obviously isn't an invention in the sense of people have been creating products and services for this kind of thing, I don't know, I'm guessing forever, since young men ever wanted to be more appealing to young women, which is pretty much since probably forever. And so people have always been looking for ways to exploit that niche and market products and services for that niche. And now there's this guy who made create a program for him to do that. And he's apparently had, tons of people signing up and has generated millions of dollars in sales, I guess. I'm not sure if people subscribe to it or pay for the software, whatever it is. It's certainly an interesting story to go worth reading. I just wasn't paying attention in the minutes when he was actually describing the payment structure, but it's probably subscriptions or people pay for the software or advertising or something like that. Because that's usually how those app businesses are run. They're one or the other, unless they sell their application to a bigger developer or publisher who can then market it, and so they pay them either to own it outright and then buy share. Somebody's writing a lot here in the chat. What are you writing? What are we talking about? We're talking about your business is going to fail unless you do certain things. Okay, host of your attractiveness is based on your facial feature, or most of your attractiveness is based on your facial features, which are immutable. You really cannot change without surgery. You can't. What? Tilt? Canthral tilt? I don't know what that is. People who fell for that app are really uninformed and filled with wishful thinking. Hey, I'm not saying whether or not the app is successful at making people more "quote unquote" attractive, but I will definitely say physical appearance is actually a very small part of attractiveness. Canthral, what is right here? Canthal tilt is the angle of your eyes. Okay, whatever. Like, yay! I'm glad you know something about this. That sounds interesting. You should maybe go contact that business and let them know that you have some insights that maybe they can use. Maybe you can make some money doing that. Maybe you can build a business doing that if you haven't already. But the point is, this guy built a business using an innovative solution, which is to use an AI large language model to create a software that he could then sell to customers. And it doesn't matter if people fell for it or if they're using something that won't really work. It matters that it works for him as a business. It matters that it's a thing he was able to successfully market. So the innovation there was that he took existing technologies in order. This is a good idea, but I wouldn't even buy it. Yeah. Again, it's not about the particular business. I'm talking about any business, right? You could have a business fixing pianos. If your business fixing pianos isn't innovative in its approach of how it's going to grow and thrive, then it will fail. And innovation, right, is what drives research and development. And the other way around, research and development drives innovation very often. But innovation and research and development are how businesses come to be and how successful ones become successful, because without innovation, research, and development, there is no new thing. You can't put a spin on a widget unless there's a spin. You need to make that spin. If I make an identical pair of sneakers as Nike, yes, maybe I can sell them for a limited time to a limited customer set, right? But if they're fakes, people are going to know, and I could get shut down because they're fakes. But if they're very similar but slightly different, then I can brand it differently, and I can show that it has different features that make it worth something different and valued at something differently than Nike is. And I can even put the price point very similar or identical to Nike, but it's a different brand. But I'm making a different brand. Maybe I put an extra piece of leather or plastic on the shoe. Maybe I take off a piece of leather or plastic. Maybe I do something slightly different. Maybe I move the logo to, make a different logo, obviously, and move it to a different location where it isn't common to put logos. Maybe I make the sole a little bit thicker or a little bit thinner, whatever it might be. I get it, but okay, right again. Jonas writes again. I get it, but that window of opportunity is going to close up really quickly. ChatGPT models are going to get oversaturated. Again, I'm not focused on ChatGPT. I'm just saying that that's one tool people can use to get some ideas. I'm not saying that it's the be-all and all. Most ideas in humanity have not come from ChatGPT. ChatGPT has learned from humanity what to say. All it's doing, it's just machine learning on steroids. I'm not saying ChatGPT or large language models are the be-all and end-all of innovation at all. In fact, they're not, right? But they are good resources for figuring out things that have already been done and learning from that. And they can be good for creating certain things like software, images, even sound, video, text, simple things like or written documents, tables, right, spreadsheet information, those kind of things. It can be used to do a lot of routine things, and it can be used to learn about things that are ideas that people can do or can use. I'm not saying it's the be all and end all of business innovation. In fact, the opposite, right? Be all and end all of innovation, I was just saying before, can come to people in an epiphany, right? It can just be like, boom, a spark moment. You're looking at something, you're walking on the street, you notice something, boom, you have the idea. Next thing you know, you're in your lab or in your office or in your home, sitting at your desk, writing it all down in detail, creating the blueprint, doing whatever you got to do, calling people, anyone you might know that can help you to build this thing. Suddenly you're off to the races with, a team of people that want to help you build this great idea. It happens all the time. But the point is, your business, no matter what it is going to fail unless it's innovative and has good research and development that puts a unique twist, a unique spin on it. And I know you can tell me, but there's plenty of boring businesses that just copy other businesses and they're not innovative and they're not do R&D at all. Yeah, it might appear that way, but there's no way that they're not innovative in any way at all. Even if you're just starting a new garbage collection company, your garbage collection company isn't going to succeed if you don't innovate in some way. For example, maybe you're servicing an area that isn't currently serviced, right, that needs a garbage collection company. Or maybe you're servicing an area that already has garbage collection service, but doesn't offer the same garbage collection service that you offer. For example, maybe you come every day and they only come every other day, or they only come every 3 days, but you're there every day. Maybe you automatically separate recyclables from non-recyclables, right? And other people don't. Or maybe you just make it easy for people to just throw everything in one batch and you do the sorting at your end because you have a processing plant where you can do the sorting that other plants can't do so easily, right? So even a garbage company can be innovative, even if it seems like it's not. Even a hot dog stand can be innovative. Oh, they sell the exact same hot dogs and the same toppings as everybody else. How is that innovative? Maybe their location is innovative. Maybe the sign on their hot dog stand is innovative. Maybe the way they approach customer, they speak with customers is innovative. Maybe the way they give a loss leader to people is innovative. You have to find some kind of a twist that makes customers want to buy your product and that makes customers want to buy again from you. That's what causes ultimately businesses to succeed. Anyway, that's going to be it for now. And hope you all having a great day. And I'll catch you all later. Take care. Cheers.